All right, this is section 6.2, comparing and ordering fractions, decimals, and percents. So we'll start off with some questions here. It says determine which number form, fraction, decimal, or percent, is more common, and then find out which is greater. So if we're talking about sales tax, are we more likely to get it as a percent or as a fraction? And the answer is that we are more likely to get it as a percent. Sales tax, you may have heard before, different states have different sales tax, but they're all percentages. So 7% would be 0.07 as a decimal. And 1/20th, or 1 divided by 20, would be 0.05. So even though a percent is the most common way of seeing a sales tax, 7%, actually writing them as decimals, is the best way to compare them. So 7% is 0.07, which is larger than 0.05. For part B, we have 0.37 cups of flour, or 1/3 cup of flour. For those of you that have spent any time in the kitchen, you know that measuring cups are given to you in fraction form, so this is the most common way of seeing this one. But to compare them, write them as decimals. We know 1/3 is 0.3 repeating, or 0.33, as many threes as you'd like, which means 0.37 is bigger than 0.3 repeating. For part C, it says a 5/8 inch wrench or a 0.375 inch wrench. Well, if you've worked with tools before, you know that wrenches are measured also in fractions. To see which one is bigger, we have to convert 5/8 into a decimal. 5 divided by 8, of course, is how you turn a fraction into a decimal, and that's going to be 0.625, which is bigger than 0.375. So a 5/8 wrench would be bigger. Again, fraction form is the most common way of seeing those. And then we've got money. And you should know that money, the most common way of writing money is in decimal form. So we have $12.56 here. Now, 12 and 3/5, we know 12 is the whole number, and 3/5, or 3 divided by 5, is 0.6. But since money uses 2 decimal places, we need to make that a 0.60. And we can see that $12.60 is bigger than $12.56. Example E, are you more likely to get a test grade back with a 93% or a 7/8? Now, some teachers do put 7 out of 8. And usually that would be given to you, say, on a quiz, for example, where there's not a lot of questions. But normally, if you're talking about a test score, they're going to give it to you as a percentage. So as a decimal, that would be 0.93. And if you score 7 out of 8, 7 divided by 8 is 0.875. So 0.93 is going to be bigger. So I'm seeing a pattern. All the numbers on the left so far have been bigger. And then when we're talking about fluid ounces, you can check your body wash or soap dispenser, anything that's got fluid ounces in it. You can see that they're going to use decimals. Decimals is the most common way of writing fluid ounces. So we've got 5.6, and we've got 5 and 5/6. So 5 and then 5 divided by 6 is the decimal 0.83 repeating. So that is actually bigger. That is bigger than 5.6. So all the numbers on the left side were bigger, and you can see that, and commonly when you use them in real life, you use different forms of fractions, decimals, or percents. So this is the main idea of today's lesson. The best way to convert between fractions, decimals, percents, and compare them all is to write them all as decimals. If you write them all as decimals, remember decimals are in the middle. We've got fractions, decimals, and percents. It's really easy to move the decimal back 2 spots to go to a decimal. It's also really easy to do top divided by bottom and write all of your fractions as decimals. So decimals are the middleman, and it's easy to compare. So let's look at this first example. It says you, your sister, and a friend each take the same number of shots at a soccer goal. You make 72% of your shots. Your sister makes 19 out of 25 of her shots, and your friend makes 0.67 of his shots. Who made the fewest shots? The fewest shots being the key word. So who made the fewest? So we've got you, and if we convert your percentage into a decimal, that would be 0.72, converting 72%. Okay, we've got your sister who made 19 out of 25. So if we convert 19 out of 25 into a decimal, that gives us 0.76. And then we've got your friend who was already given as a decimal, and that was 0.67. So 0.67. So we can see your friend made the fewest amount of shots. So your friend made the fewest. Then it says graph the decimals on a number line. So we know our friend made the least amount. 0.67 would go right here between 0.66 and 0.68. So there's our friend. And then you made the next fewest, which was 0.72. So there's you. And then your sister made the most at 0.76. So one thing you'll be asked to do on tonight's homework is to graph these onto a number line. Once you've got them all written as decimals, you can arrange them from least to greatest on a number line. One of the problems on tonight's homework, number 21, does have a mistake in it that I did want to help you out with. You can see looking at this number line, it says 0.42, 0.43, 0.43 again, and then two 0.44s. So this graph is supposed to be counting by thousandths, which has 3 decimal places. And whoever wrote the code for this problem only had it round everything to 2 decimal places. So this first 0.43 here, this is supposed to be 0.425. That's going to be helpful. That's going to be halfway between 0.420 and 0.430. This first 0.44 is supposed to be 0.435. So now you can see we're counting by thousandths, going from 0.420, 421, 422, 423, 424, 425, 426, 427, 428, 429, 430, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we've got these 4 numbers that we have to arrange here from least to greatest, and the best way to convert to arrange them is to write them all as decimals, especially since our graph already has decimals. So we know that 0.44 is already converted as a decimal. So we just have to use our calculator and convert these 2 fractions. Now, the percent, we can slide the decimal backwards and we can write that as a percent very easily. But 87 divided by 200, in order to write it as a decimal, we have to do top divided by bottom, gives you 0.435, and 21 50ths, 21 divided by 50, gives you 0.42, which makes that actually the smallest one. 0.42 would go right here, and that's going to be 21 50ths. Now on big ideas, you will just drag with your finger, drag these to the right locations. And then we've got the next smallest one, which is going to be 0.435. Remember, this is 440. So 435 would be right here, and that's going to be 87 200ths. And then we've got 0.437, so that would be 2 spots to the right. 0.437 was 43.7%. And then we've got 0.44, which is at the very end of our number line. So that's number 21. So make sure you get that copied over. I know that can be confusing because of the mistake they made in right here in getting these decimals. They should be 3 decimal places, but they rounded them to 2. So that makes it very difficult when you first look at the problem. All right, so we have one last problem here. It says the map shows the portions of the United States population that live in 5 states. These aren't the 5 most populated states. They're just 5 random states they chose. What are the 5 states in order by population from least to greatest? So let's start with California in red there. It already gives us a decimal. Oops. 0.12. So that's easy to compare, write them all as decimals. And then Ohio says 1/25. So using a calculator, 1 divided by 25 is going to give us 0.04. Michigan says 0.03 already. New York says 6%, and that would be 0.06 if you move the decimal backwards 2 spots. And then Washington is 1/50th. 1 divided by 50 is 0.02. So now we can see that Washington has the least amount and California has the most. So then to convert this, this number line here has percentages. So obviously we can just move the decimal over twice to find out what the percent is, and then we can write it down. The least most populated was Washington, we said, which was 2%. And the postal code for Washington is WA, it's an abbreviation for it. And then we've got New York, which is, I'm sorry, not New York, Michigan, which is 3%, which is halfway between 2 and 4. So MI for Michigan. And then we've got Ohio, which is 4%. So we got a cluster right here of states that have similar populations. 6% of the United States lives in New York. And California isn't just the most populated state of these 5, it's the most populated state in our country, with 12% of the United States population living there. So again, once you write them all as decimals, it's easy to compare them from least to greatest. And so that's tonight's homework, is turning these all into decimals and then numbering them on a number line from least to greatest.